discussion on the topic, Unlocking Opportunities, Exploring the Consequences of Permitting Foreign Lawyers and Law Firms to Practice Foreign Laws in India. To discuss this, I would like to welcome on stage the moderator of this panel discussion, Ms. Shelley Kohli, Chief Legal and Compliance Officer at United Breweries Limited. Let's have a huge round of applause, everyone. Mr. Ravi Rajiv Upadhyay, Senior Director, Head Legal, India Operations, Ameriprise Financial Services, LLC. Please welcome, sir. Ms. Monica Romelina Sijabat, Founder and Managing Partner at MRS Business Professionals Consulting, who's also our Powered By and Cocktail sponsor. Please welcome Ms. Monica. And our fourth panelist, Mr. Gopalakrishnan, Founder, BJK Law Associate, Advocates and Legal Advisors. A huge round of applause, everyone, for all our panelists. Now I would request the moderator to please commence the panel discussion. Thank you.
Hello everyone, how are you doing? I hope you had a great break. This is a rather heavy topic, and the reason is it's a topic that evokes a lot of different reactions, divergent views, and a lot of debate, right? And rightfully so, the panel has a nice blend of in-house counsels. So as I said, we have a panel which has a nice blend of in-house legal, external law firm, and a foreign attorney as well. So the idea is to really get to you the divergent views and make it a very interesting conversation. But before I go to the questions to the different panelists, I just wanted to put a brief background. And I tried to do a little bit of research to make sure that I set the context for you guys to sort of follow the conversation after. So now, as you all know, the Advocates Act actually prohibits foreigners from practicing law in India. And despite there have been over the years some sort of the activity or the other as far as foreign firms and foreign lawyers is concerned. And therefore, writ petitions had been filed before the Madras High Court and the Bombay High Court in the past. And the Madras High Court case actually culminated into a Supreme Court decision later because it was appealed. And in terms of the broad principles, and that decision was in the case of this A.K. Balaji versus Government of India, I'm just going to reiterate the broad principles that were laid down, and because that is important for us to understand the foundational principles of how this conversation has been evolving. So the Madras High Court basically in the A.K. Balaji case said that foreign lawyers are not restricted from participating as far as negotiations, deals, contract drafting, etc. is concerned. They can actually provide consultancy, support. They can participate in international commercial arbitration, and they can operate on what they call, in inverted commas, actually fly in and fly out basis for advising clients on foreign law in India. Yeah. Now, this judgment was actually very much aligned to what the Bombay High Court had also said. And as I said before, this decision then went on in appeal to the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court actually widely endorsed pretty much all of the principles that I just articulated for you. Yeah. Interestingly, also the Supreme Court said that practice of the profession actually is not restricted to litigation. So it is litigious as well as non-litigious practice, which can be construed as practice of the profession, right? And since then on, what has recently happened is that we have the Bar Council of India rules that were promulgated last year in March, and I think that's the reason why you see this topic as a topic of discussion in many of the conferences that are being held. Now, so that's the context, and now over to the different panelists that I have here with me. So I will go to Bala first. Bala, to you. So now, as far as I wanted you to comment and throw some light on the effectiveness of the BCI rules that have come, which have allowed foreign lawyers and law firms to register with the Bar Council of India. And as you know, that the pretext of this is that India is looking to establish itself as an international hub for international commercial arbitration. So my question to you is, do you think this is like a forward stance in that direction? And what's your view?
Yeah, I think, can you hear me? Yeah, I'm Gopalakrishnan Balakrishna, and formerly I was the head of law department of Axis Bank, and I was also heading after that I was heading the asset reconstruction company, that is the RSIL, with the first Indian asset reconstruction company. And now I'm practicing on my own. I set up a law firm called BGK Law Associates, that is, and before I come into the topic, one topic, Dr. Basin, my good friend, was saying that it should be allowed that, because this is also allowing foreign law firms to practice in India, that in-house general counsel should be allowed to represent their companies. So I was one of the people who had always appearing before, when I was in Axis Bank, before the income tax tribunal, because I was looking after the income tax matters also. And therefore, I used to appear and represent and plead the case for the Axis Bank. And therefore, I got a membership in the Income Tax Advocates Tribunal in Ahmedabad, because our headquarters was in Ahmedabad, and therefore, it was there. So there is nothing wrong in it, and, therefore, you can represent your own company, because you know the facts much better than sending it to somebody else. Back to the question. The question is that, let me ask a simple question to all of you here. Who is afraid of these foreign firms coming to India? I think only a certain big law firms who have established here are afraid of these foreign law firms coming to India. Because if you look at the Indian context, there are two types of lawyers. If you look at the Mofussil towns or, in certain districts across India, I'm not blaming any particular state. They are completely different, and they are coming from law colleges, which I don't know what kind of law colleges are there, because the law schools have mushroomed like small, we would say small mom and pop stores, and everybody is given, because it is given on a communal basis, and if you're given on a society basis, and everybody is there. Because I can say that because I'm in the board of studies of two big law schools in India, one in Bangalore and one in Bhubaneswar. And what happens is they are completely unaware whether foreign law firms come or not. It is not going to affect their thing, because they are into litigation, and their work sphere is limited. People in Bombay, especially Mumbai, where I'm coming from, Delhi, and then in Bangalore and in Hyderabad, they are afraid, because so that is where the foreign investments have come, and foreigners come every day. So today, as the panelist, as the moderator has said, Balaji said that fly in and fly out. I think I don't agree with that, because they can come fly in and fly out means see, it's not a one-night stand where somebody can come and then go back. That they have to have a responsibility here. When they are coming here, they have to have some responsibility in advising the clients and in what they are doing. They just can't do anything and go back, because now Supreme Court is also considering the matter whether advocates can be brought in under the Consumer Protection Act, because that's a case which is still pending, because the Chief Justice asked a question whether, why can't it be? So if it comes, that's going to be a dangerous thing, because we'll have to defend our own cases. A lot of our own cases will have to be there. That's about that apart, Now today BCI has come out with certain rules, which rules I feel is very good, in the sense, they have to register here, and if I'm correct, they have to have a partner with a local Indian lawyer, and the local Indian lawyer are there, so it brings a lot of opportunities for the young, bright minds, lawyers in India, because law students coming from good law schools or otherwise, who are bright young students, they have a lot of opportunities, because they have a right to do that. If you look at the other, in foreign law firms also, they have an India desk, and they recruit people from here, from the law schools, and keep them there. They're not enrolled or they're not registered with that country. But what they do is, they shuttle between India and that country of their posting, and they know they have to bring work to them. For example, any international work is there, that has to be there. So as far as the Indian context is concerned, one is that they should be registered with the BCI. That's a good thing. Registration is necessary, and they should have a partner, a sponsorship. Like if you go to UAE countries, if you want to start a business, you have to have a local person as a sponsor. So likewise, here also they said that a local advocate has to be sponsored here. So we have to open up. We can't just hide and say that, I will not allow foreign law firms to come in India, and it is a closed thing, and, I won't allow anybody to come. But to the extent and how far and how best is the most important thing. I think, they are not allowed to litigate. That's a very good thing, because I don't want them to litigate because they do not know the context of Indian culture or, the way the cases are brought here, and, therefore, that's a good thing. But advising is very good. But the question is whether that will turn into an international hub of arbitration is a big question. Because, people still prefer Singapore or, London is very expensive. So Singapore is one of the best places where a lot of arbitration takes place. Even today, arbitration takes place, where international arbitration is concerned, it takes place in Singapore because the way it is done. Here, if arbitration comes and if the venue and seat of arbitration, or even if a foreign law firm is coming and, helping us in the arbitration, what happens is unless the jurisdiction of that, is with the courts, and, so what happens is immediately we go and file some appeal, and, interference of the courts are more here in arbitration is concerned. It's not that completely it is taken away by the arbitration, because I've dealt in an international arbitration where 2 sovereign countries were involved. It was in Singapore, but the way the Singapore Supreme Court acted is wonderful, because, the Supreme Court Chief Justice, who was on leave, cancelled his leave and said that, I as a nation, I as a sovereign country cannot ask another sovereign country not to take back their land. And he said that compensation is only the way out, and therefore there cannot be any stay on that. That will never happen here. So it is better that foreign law firms should come here, but limited purpose of advising on foreign laws, and also the partnership which India Bar Council has said is very good, because that is what I feel is a wonderful thing, because even otherwise LPOs were there, and we are doing work for the foreign law firms, and a lot of people, a lot of LPOs are doing for this. And in the context of India becoming a big global economy, and we are going to be that, now we are in the 5th, and if we go back to 3rd or 3rd Indian economy, that is, it is necessary to have the best practices in all over the world to come to India, and therefore we should encourage them, but encourage them with the fact that, Indians should be a part of it. Indian lawyers should be a part of it, and Indian lawyers should benefit from that. And like, today foreign banks comes to India, but Reserve Bank of India has said that foreign banks who come to India has to set up an Indian subsidiary company, because they cannot just one day close the door and go back. And in that Indian subsidiary which is set up in India will have to be merged with another bank in India. So that way it has to be there. So I support, and I say that what BCI has said is correct, and it is in the right direction.
So thank you, Bala, for sharing your liberal views. Now we will go to Ravi, and Ravi, so now to implement these BCI rules, especially in the context of the A.K. Balaji judgment of the Supreme Court, which necessitates or mandates that people who, advocates or lawyers who want to practice need to be registered. What are the kind of structural changes that are needed in the Advocates Act to implement this?
See, I think the biggest gray area, right, and in my legal experience of last 18 years, you get recognized as a good lawyer when you're able to identify gray areas and loopholes in acts and rules and regulations, right? And I feel there are certain vague terms which need utmost clarity, both on the Indian side and on the foreign side, which is, what does reciprocity mean? How do we implement that? That, I believe, is the genesis of ensuring that there is success to having foreign lawyers, foreign law firms, establishing their offices, setting up their workforce here in India. I also believe competition only has one output, and that output is improvement, right? Tell me one area or domain where competition has led to decrease in service. Rarely, never, right? And with this provision where foreign law firms and foreign lawyers are being allowed to practice law in India, we make this statement as a motherhood statement, but there are so many restrictions out there as well. If you have a business mind, you are supposed to make money in a particular geography. When you come to a particular jurisdiction, you see there are restrictions. I feel a lot of clarity and listing out of what those restrictions means needs to come out. I would also say, and you all are in the same profession, learned audience, we have a fiduciary duty. Our clients trust us as persons, as firms we represent, and the organizations we work for, and that's why they come to us for opinion. What happens is when there is serious foreign investment coming into India, the approach is two-pronged. One, let me tap into my present law firms / partner or business partner who can help me with all my legal questions. That is the first approach that they take. The second approach is, let me get the groundwork done by a local Indian law firm. That's the usual approach all serious foreign investors take when they come to India. Imagine with these rules and regulations that there is already a satellite office, or I should say a proper office, set up by these firms here in India. So rather than all that billable time being provided to the foreign office of that foreign law firm, it'll be probably billed to Indian office of that foreign law firm. What does it mean? Increased revenue, increased jobs, increase in the retainership, right? And change management is a huge thing. Whenever something changes, there are two groups formed. One that embraces, and they are always in limited number, and one that opposes. And if you want to oppose, there'll be three logical points at least that you can pick up on. But if you are for the motion, then there are so many benefits that one doesn't talk about. I strongly feel that foreign lawyers, law firms should be given an opportunity to practice law here in India. I can also tell you there are Indian firms that just do not use Indian arbitration centers but go to Singapore, as Sir said, due to many reasons. But one of them is having those lawyers that they trust internationally to participate in the arbitration proceedings. Imagine if we kind of relax certain provisions, then India, because of its cost effectiveness and arbitrage, can essentially become a powerhouse, at least in Southeast Asia, for all the arbitration matters, right? And I believe the points that I picked upon, those are the things that BCI or authorized regulatory bodies should take up to ensure that there is clarity for those firms which consider India as a very important geography for them to grow their business.
Sure, thank you so much. So before I go to Monica, I want to come back to Bala. So Bala, while I understand that you have endorsed that is how the best solution for us is to have foreign firms in India, but I would also like to address some of the concerns that the Society of Indian Law Firms has raised, and probably rightfully so. The Society for Indian Law Firms says that they believe that the playing field is distorted, right? So they want to first address, they want to basically have this change. They are open to the change, but they want to do it in a structured and a phased manner, right? They want to address issues like, where there are restrictions or rules around advertising. There are law firms in India are not really recognized. They want all of those issues to be addressed first before they get on to, opening the country up for law firms to be coming in, right? So what do you think? Do you think an open consultative process would have been the right one to really come up with a harmonious law? What's your view on that?
No, I think definitely an open consultative process is the best, because I'm not saying that, somebody has to distort the thing. But mostly I think I am not clear as to what all things have to be considered, because the Society of Indian Law Firms, of which I am also a member, has not clarified as to what exactly are the problems. They say that, some kind of a consultative process has to be there, and which is a must, but definitely the stakeholders has to be consulted. But the fact of the matter is that even today, as Ravi said, is that, when I'm dealing with a matter which requires a foreign law, which requires the implementation or, consultation process of a foreign law is concerned, what I do is, even though I'm doing it in India by an Indian law firm, I'm not acquainted or, fully aware of the foreign law firms and its implications. Just by reading the text, you don't get it to know that, practical side, what is decided, what is the practice, everything. So what you do is that you go and consult them informally, or, you consult them and get the best out of them, and then, you put it as yours. So I think a consultative process is best, but advertising is concerned, yes, they do advertise, because, as far as I'm concerned, I have experiences when something comes up in the paper about some kind of a thing, and, half a dozen people fly out and, meet us and say that, we are the best, we are the thing. But even in India also now, most of the law firms do, when they read the Economic Times or the Mint or, Business Standard and say that some company is going to do that, they do send feelers to everybody saying that, we have done this, we have done this. Ultimately, it goes to somebody. So I think to that extent, it is very, very informally being done that, So the way it has to be advertised by the foreign law firms, I think, we should continue with the standards which we keep, because that keeps a little nicer thing. Otherwise, it will distort the practice of a lot of other law firms, and only the certain big people, because they have experience and they can vouch for it, will come. But consultative process is a must. But again, going back, competition has to be there, because you produce a lot of young lawyers, and that lawyers needs to be aware of what is happening in the globe. And we have, after G20 and everything, we said the world is one earth, one family, and therefore we have to be acquainted, we have to train them. It is not that old school lawyers are there and they think only about, so we have to give them the training, and therefore they have to come to India, they have to partner, and training has to be given, and many things has to be set right, but consultation is a must.
Thank you. So now I'll go over to Monica. So Monica, as you know, that the rules state that registered, so once a foreign law firm is registered in India, they can actually only advise foreign clients. There was a subsequent press release by the Bar Council of India which suggests that registered foreign lawyers and firms can only advise on foreign and international law. Now, what this could do is that it could lead to a situation where international firms, as we said, could actually prefer, they would advise Indian clients on a fly-in and fly-out basis, especially when it comes to India-seated international arbitrations. Now, what is your thinking on the fact that if India really wants to establish itself as an international hub for commercial arbitration, would it not actually be more effective if we were to carve out an exception whereby Indian clients may be allowed to seek advice from foreign lawyers and law firms, especially on the subject of foreign law?
Thank you. First of all, that I want to say thanks to India government as India Embassy in Singapore that we got our visa very immediately in 30 minutes only, because that we stuck in Singapore, in Jakarta, the airlines, they didn't allow us to fly to India because we don't have a visa yet at that time we fly. Me as the person that they give me the permit, but our team not yet, so that I must fight for our team to get the visa soon. So that we are really appreciate for the India government to issue our visa by India Embassy in Singapore. It just 1 hour after I came to the High Commission in India, I talked to the government. I'm very happy. Thank you, sir. We very respect with your collaboration and trust for us that we come here to get collaboration with India New College as a lawyer or attorney. First of all, Sally, we must talk about attorney and lawyer. Attorney that we must go to the court, and lawyer is for us just for the consultation. Exception for the lawyer or attorney that, of course, that we must have success experience first. In Indonesia and in America, because that we have a representative office also in Washington DC, our success experience that people will accept you, not even that India government, not even the US government, not even in the Indonesia government. But remember, you must have good reputation first. When you fight for something that against the law, that all of the government in every country that will close your door. So that based on my experience over 16 years, that most of the government in the world that accept me, not even that I'm not registered in the country, but they accept me and they support me just because they know that I have a good willing to help people. So arbitration about the exception, that why we must open the door to every people that want to make he or she dreams come true. Like me, I have my dreams that I want to be the world, the good attorney and lawyer in the world, so that people that can accept me, that we know that as an expert, we must fight for the good law regulation in every country, such as arbitration, that especially such as the specific case about tax. Tax, it must be that we must talk about fair. Arbitration also we must talk about fairness. Why? If we got the money from the US, so we must pay the tax for the country in the United States. If we got the money from the Indonesia, we must pay for the tax for Indonesia government. If we got the money from India government, India country, so you must pay for the tax in India. So we talk about fairness. That's our history, that all the government that will hear about us, so they will accept you. So the exception that we talk about the arbitration, or how India government that can make exception for the lawyer, that for the foreign lawyers. Actually, that our client come from the foreign lawyers come to us. We are a local lawyer or attorney at the time. But based on our success story, that our multinational client that come to us because they know about my reputation, they know about our success story, they know that we have a willingness good to every government in every country. So that's why the exception is not only for you must have the success story about your knowledge also about arbitration, IP, tax, and every specific law. So we must know also that in the world that we know that lex specialists, that are good lex leaders, we must concern about the situation. So I myself in my mind, every people as my friend, every Nicolette is my friend. I never compete with you, but I compete to make the new good regulation to the world. So that's why that I become a professor in the University of Indonesia. Why? Because the government came to us to hear about our advice. What is it? How must we must do to make a good regulation? So that we collaborate each other. So then after that one, I changed my situation to become a researcher also. So based on my success story, the University of Indonesia, as well the top university in Indonesia, they asked me to teach as the professor, as the first time as a tax professor, and they changed and shift, they promote me as the economic professor. So people will hear you, they listen to you, they make new regulation, they will collaborate you, they will make exception to you if you have a good effort to all the world, to the government. Deep knowledge is a must, professional is a must, good reputation is a must. Such as like, I just talked to Indian government, so he really helped us. Just talk, just came to the High Commission in India, in Singapore, just by phone. We didn't come inside. They talked to me. Visa service is not here, ma'am. Yeah, but we have urgent. We very emergency because that I must attend the conference. So they help us. So the government they talk to me just by the phone. So I explained, this is Monica. Yes, it's me. Because that we are connected also with all of the government in the world by my alumni. So that deep knowledge and our professional history, success story is not only for the consultation. So please remember, I never compete with you, but we will compete to make the good regulation for every country in the world. So that we must keep a fairness, that India is good right now, that the economic growth is very good right now. So this is the big challenge to India to become the reputation that international. So don't fight as the same professional. It's not that. Yeah, I can see your smile there. So no, we are not enemy. We are friends. Trust me. That's my experience. That's my success experience. Don't compete each other with us, but compete to make the good regulation. Once you success, the government will call you, will invite you. Hey, come to my table. I want to talk to you. I want to hear what you experience. I want to know your client. Okay. So what do you want to do? So they will send you the military to back up you. They will send you the team, the goodness to protect you too. Why? Because they know you will give the world the best effort to make the new regulation fair to every country in the world. That's why the exception only for the people that have a good reputation, with successful experience, and we have a good willing to do it in every country. It's easy for you and me to go to get in touch together in the world. How come that I can stand here, talk to you, if my visa not issued yet, if my team that they stop in the Singapore, we never talk in person. So the committee also, that Monica, how good your situation is. Don't worry, I will come to India High Commission, government in India, embassy in Singapore. I will talk to them. So that they just wait. And until now, the previous one that we submit visa not issued yet. But when I talk to the India government embassy in Singapore, when I talk to him, I talk in there in person, and the people that saw me, that saw the picture, that they know you are a good person. So they accept you. But even we never know each other. I never know who is the person that who helped me. But when they help me, we know when you have a good reputation, every people will open the door for you. So the exception must be clear. Must be clear for what? This is the person that we can trust that the world will be good for us together. That's for me, for the exception. So that's my experience and my opinion. So why America also, they make a different situation by the bar also, they know that it's not easy for us as a lawyer in the world, as an attorney in the world, that we fight each other in every country. No, I said that to my friend in America also. No, we never compete, but we make a good new regulation to the world, because the world needs us to make the good regulation. Not even in education law, not even in the taxation law, not even in the arbitration law, not even in the IP law. Why? I never agree with the plagiarism, never. I never agree about that Tax Crime Act, never. I never agree about the discrimination, never. So that's why the most important thing for the law, exception for the people that have a good regulation, it happened now. Why we talk about AI? AI, all of the people use it. Why? Why we open the door for the AI? Because people feel that it's really helpful for us, not even the researchers also. So that's the point of us, that Indonesia, India, America, and also for the Europe, British, yeah, we can talk and we collaborate. So we never compete, but we make a good new regulation for arbitration, IP, and taxation, and every law.
Thank you. Thank you, Monica. So just coming back to the BCI rules, yeah. So now BCI has the discretion to approve foreign law firms from different jurisdictions, yeah, and that approval can actually be refused if the BCI feels that there is a disproportionate number of foreign firms from a particular jurisdiction vis-a-vis Indian firms in that jurisdiction, right? So there is that discretionary element that is there, right? So can you share with us, considering that you've come from Indonesia and you would have interacted with firms and lawyers across the world, and specifically in countries like China and Singapore, which have actually been models, have propagated models where through different principles, and have actually successfully garnered the representation of foreign law firms from different parts of the world in their own countries. Can you share some of your experience on that?
Okay. In my experience in Indonesia, that regulation that we didn't do that. In government Indonesia that didn't do it. But we specific that only that the person that have a high quality and deep knowledge about that specific law that can get that license. So that my opinion that if India that want that to make balance, yeah, I can say that make balance for the people that who want that will get the license or not. So I think is number one is that the deep knowledge about your specific law that you expert in it. That's the most important thing. It's not about the quantity, but please talk about quality. The quality of the lawyer or the quality of the attorney is the most important thing, that the represent of your country too, represent of your law firm too, represent of the your university too. So how successful people that represent of the body of the law firm or the lawyer or of the country that will show you that this is the right person to be to the international represent. Why? Because that based on our experience, if you talk about the quantitative, we talk about the competition lawyer in the world. But if you talk about the quality and reputation, we talk about how good the world right now for the law, for the regulation. It's just a difference. It's different perceptions. So that's why that we open our mind now. In Indonesia right now, everyone can get. We never talk about the quantity right now, but we talk about the quality. Why? Not even right now. The Supreme Constitution that give the license for the lawyer that come to the tax court. So why we should do as the tax court at the time, as the tax lawyer at the time? I never compete with the lawyer at that time, but I know only for the success attorney that can win at the tax court, at the Supreme Court also. So don't worry about the competition, but please make sure that the law good for the world, such as like this. I have experience. This is a fun experience. Yeah, the law sometimes in the substance is comply to the regulation. We never make a mistake. We never fail. We never late. Okay, so I came earlier to the tax court or the Supreme Court, but our counterpart they late. So they lie. They said that, hey, no, the judge didn't give the oath to the tax attorney. I said that, yes, we have the CCTV, but you are late. So we never compete. But we must make the regulation that's good for all. That's good for the people, the people that want to get the fairness, or also that we must know the situation that's bad for the government or the bad for the public or bad for the institution or else. So it's not easy to the law if we talk about quantity, but if we talk about the quality, we will talk about the success story of your life that to make your dreams come true.
Okay, thank
you
so much.
Ms. Monica. We have one question from the floor for all the panelists, which is that if foreign accounting firms, that is the big four, are allowed signed balance sheets in India, if foreign doctors are allowed for operation or surgeries in India, then why not law firms be allowed for full service practice? So any of you can answer that.
I think, as far as the accounting firms are concerned, the big fours are there, Ernst & Young and PwC and all are there. But they have the similar rule, correct me if I'm wrong, somebody from there, is that they have to have an Indian arm here, and where Indians has to be there, because it is only name lending and the best practices, but it is run by Indians. I've not seen, because the banks are audited by them and, forensic audit, I think, somebody from forensic audit is also here. They have an Indian arm here, but it is completely run by Indians. I don't find any, they may have borrowed the Indian best practices from outside. So I think, that can be followed. That is what BCI says, So BCI is saying is that, a lot of Indians has to be included, Indian lawyers has to be included. And that's the best thing. And, in all these things, one question which the moderator asked was that number of law firms, lawyers or foreign law firms which can come to India will depend on how many number of law firms of others, Indian law firms can be set up there, That is always there. That is there in, element of reciprocity is there. And it is like banks also, if you ask 10 branches of a foreign bank in India, you have to allow 10 branches of my bank also there, that is there. And the second question is doctors as concerned, you should not consider doctors in which this, see, saving a human life, that has nothing to do with this, foreign doctors or in Indian doctors. See, if you remember about 3 years back, many of the Pope, the Pontiff, who is the head of the Catholic Church, was operated by a surgeon from India who flew down there, and he operated him. It's not that, that has nothing to do with that, because, the best of people, if you have, you can do that. He was a Parsi doctor, he is still a Parsi doctor from Mumbai, and who went all the way to operate him. And, as they said, when he asked the Pontiff why I'm selected, he said, it came into my dreams. That's a religious thing, I don't want to go into that, So, I think we should allow law firms to come into India, but albeit with strict control over them. And one control is that, one of the questions is that, what kind of an action we can take if they violate the Indian rules. And, that is something which, we should build in. A lot of things are to be done, and we should consult the stakeholders in India, and we can draw up, and as we go along, we kind of find something is to be changed or something has to be bettered, we can do that. That's what
Thank you so much, sir, for answering that.
One more thing. The difference and the impactful difference is, yes, the brand may be a Big Four, but the signing authority is a registered chartered accountant in India. That is the biggest difference. The contention here is that we are saying, let's recognize foreign lawyers as good as Indian lawyers under the rules and regulations set up by the BCI. And there is a kickstart to it, right? So that is the biggest difference that you see here. There is a brand, but all of them that are operating are registered in India as chartered accountants. But with lawyers, we're talking about not just firms, but individuals, right? So that is a difference I hope everybody appreciates here.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, please go ahead, ma'am.
For my college, EY, so we always fight every year. I know that you are a big firm, and my team also did as a EY. Once your client come to us, that we just, we never fight with you, but our client come to us first. In Indonesia, the regulation that we cannot compete to get one client each other. But once your client come to us, that EY, as our friends, so we want to talk about the chartered accountant is a different knowledge with another law regulation, especially for the tax regulation, especially for the arbitration and IP regulation. So once your client get the contract, I think it's better for Big Four to collaborate with the lawyer, with the attorney also. Why? Because then it will make your client suffering so much. They will hurt so much if you lose. When you lose, your Big Four as a lawyer, it will bad reputation for you because you lost because you are not expert about the situation. So it's better for the Big Four as the chartered accountant or also as the auditor, as a friend. I suggest you, because most of your clients come to us. Why? Because they know that accountant and a tax is totally different knowledge. Arbitration also is different knowledge, different rules, different regulations. As my opinion at the first time, that the professional as your success story is the most important thing, that your quality first. Not as your brand, but as your quality. When you sign the license, that they can say, hey, how about your success story? How about your incredible story experience? How about your reputation in the world? You must ask that first. So you can collaborate with the lawyer. For my friend EY, because that we have EY, we welcome you also. So and every Big Four also, that we suggest you that you must collaborate with them, because the different regulation that make the bad reputation if you lost. When you go to the court, when your client that you sign as with the Big Four as the chartered accountant, as the auditor, and your client lost at the court, and you said that the government is bad, your government is corruption. No, don't do that, please. I remind you, don't do that, please. Just because that you lost, you said the government is corruption. No, we never do corruption. We have high integrity in the Supreme Court and the tax court. We win because that we have a high integrity. But please, go collaborate with the expert one. That's my advice to our friend at the Big Four. Then once your client not ask for the services that you are expert in the auditor and the chartered accountant, please collaborate with another professional. That's for me as your best friend.
Thank you, Ms. Monica, for this kind advice. And now I would ask the moderator to please conclude the session.
Yeah. Do we have time to take audience questions, or?
I'm so sorry, we can have it over the lunch networking time.
Sure, sure. Thank you so much for being such a patient audience, and I hope you found this topic insightful, and you had some, you could confirm, you sort of agree on some of the views that were expressed, yeah? Thank you so much.
Thank you.